You won't believe what just went down in Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene exposed Jasmine Crockett live on air, waving documents, shouting accusations, and turning a routine hearing into a political battlefield. Was it truth? Or just another smear campaign? Let's break it down. It all started with a bang. Not a literal explosion, but the kind of political detonation that shakes the room and immediately grabs the attention of the entire nation. During a live broadcast of the House Oversight Committee meeting, lawmakers were gathered to discuss a range of issues. It was supposed to be business as usual, policy talk, procedural updates, maybe some tense exchanges. But what unfolded next was anything but ordinary. As the committee progressed and tensions quietly simmered beneath the surface, Republican firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene leaned forward, eyes locked onto her target, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett. And then, in the blink of an eye, Greene struck. In her signature no-holds-barred style, Greene pulled out a thick stack of documents, holding them high for everyone to see. The room fell into an eerie silence. Everyone knew. When Greene goes off script, drama follows. But this wasn't just political theater. Greene came with a purpose. She stood, her voice unwavering, and delivered a bombshell. It's time. The American people know the truth. Jasmine Crockett's actions speak louder than her words, and these documents prove it. Boom. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Suddenly, every camera in the room panned toward her. Lawmakers stopped what they were doing. Viewers across the country, some tuning in casually, others following closely, were now glued to their screens. Twitter started buzzing. TikToks began rolling. The story was going viral in real time. According to Greene, the documents contained clear evidence of unethical behavior tied directly to Representative Crockett. She claimed that financial statements, campaign records, and insider reports pointed to serious misuse of campaign funds, misreporting, and possible backdoor dealings with powerful donors. This wasn't just a jab. It was a political missile, and Greene fired it without hesitation. She continued, "This isn't partisan. This isn't personal. This is about protecting the integrity of this institution. We can't let politicians break the rules just because they think no one's watching. Well, I've been watching." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Several lawmakers visibly reacted, some shocked, some skeptical, others clearly amused by what they saw as another Greene stunt. But even they couldn't deny, this moment had weight. On social media, the clip spread like wildfire. People were replaying the moment, zooming in on the documents in Greene's hands, speculating about what they might reveal. Hashtags like Jasmine Crockett exposed and Chucka Greene goes off began trending within the hour. Back in the room, Representative Jasmine Crockett sat momentarily frozen. Cameras captured her shifting in her seat, staring directly at Greene. It was the calm before the storm, but no one expected what was coming next. Greene, emboldened by the attention, didn't stop there. She called on the committee to open an investigation. She accused the Democratic leadership of covering up unethical actions. And then she challenged Crockett directly. "If you've got nothing to hide, why don't you tell the American people what's really going on?" At this point, the hearing had completely derailed. What was meant to be a standard discussion about oversight and accountability had turned into a political showdown, one that no one could ignore. Every eye in the room was either on Greene or Crockett. Every political commentator in D.C. was now taking notes. And every major news outlet began preparing headlines for what would surely dominate the next news cycle. And here's the thing. Whether the documents Greene held were genuine evidence or exaggerated claims, it didn't matter. In that moment, the visual was powerful, the accusation was loud, and the impact was immediate. Jasmine Crockett was now on defense, and Marjorie Taylor Greene had just stolen the spotlight. As the room buzzed with whispered conversations, stunned glances, and rising tension, the scene was set for an epic response. And trust us, Crockett's reaction would be just as explosive as the accusation. So what exactly did Marjorie Taylor Greene accuse Jasmine Crockett of? When Greene dramatically unveiled her stack of documents during that now infamous committee meeting, she wasn't just trying to make noise. According to her, she had come prepared with what she called undeniable proof of serious campaign finance violations tied directly to Reppers Crockett. Her claim? That Jasmine Crockett had misused campaign funds for personal expenses, an accusation that carries not just ethical concerns, but potential criminal consequences under federal law. Let's break it down. Greene pointed to alleged irregularities in financial disclosures filed by Crockett's campaign. These forms, required by the Federal Election Commission, FEC, are meant to provide transparency into how campaign money is raised and spent. According to Greene, several line items didn't add up. She claimed that certain expenditures were suspiciously listed as consulting or travel, but in her words, they looked more like luxury accommodations, personal dinners, and non-political travel expenses. Greene even suggested that Crockett might have used donor money to cover private events unrelated to her campaign. But that wasn't all. Greene also hinted at connections to undisclosed donors, individuals and groups she claimed had financial influence over Crockett's political decisions. She waved one page of the document and stated, "When you follow the money, you start to see a pattern, and that pattern is deeply troubling." She didn't name names, but strongly implied that there were outside players pulling strings, something that would be a huge red flag if true. Her warning to the committee was clear. This isn't just bad politics. This is about violating public trust. This is about corruption hiding in plain sight. The room fell quiet. Even Crockett's Democratic colleagues looked concerned. Not necessarily because they believed Greene, but because they knew how explosive and damaging an allegation like this could be, especially when delivered live on national television. Greene then demanded an immediate investigation, calling on the House Ethics Committee and the Federal Election Commission to launch a formal inquiry. She urged committee members on both sides of the aisle to put aside politics and hold Crockett accountable, stating that the rules must apply to everyone, no matter their party. Now here's where things got even more intense. Greene, known for her aggressive tone and take-no-prisoners approach, has made many headlines in the past, from confrontational presses to fiery speeches on the House floor. But this time, something felt different. Her tone wasn't loud or theatrical. It was sharp, deliberate, and confident. She seemed genuinely convinced that what she was holding was not just political ammo, but evidence of real wrongdoing, and, whether you love her or hate her, Greene understood exactly what she was doing. She was speaking directly to the American people, not just the politicians in the room. She framed the allegations in moral terms, casting herself as a watchdog for government corruption and presenting Crockett as someone who had betrayed public trust for personal gain. "We are here to serve the people," she said, "not to enrich ourselves behind closed doors." Social media erupted almost instantly. Supporters of Greene began rallying behind the hashtag #ExposeCrockett, demanding accountability and transparency. Meanwhile, Crockett's defenders rushed to her side, calling the accusations baseless, politically motivated, and part of a larger smear campaign. Fact-checkers and journalists quickly got to work, diving into campaign records and public disclosures. While some of the financial documents Greene referenced were real FEC filings, analysts noted that the context wasn't clear, and it was far too early to determine if any actual laws had been broken. Still, the damage was done, at least in the court of public opinion. The visuals were powerful. Greene standing tall, waving paperwork, speaking in the name of justice. Crockett, caught off guard, was left scrambling to respond. The internet, meanwhile, did what it always does, ran wild with theories, clips, memes, and hot takes. And here's the real kicker. In today's media landscape, sometimes the allegation alone can do more damage than the outcome of any investigation. Whether Greene's claims were factually solid or just political theater, one thing was clear. Jasmine Crockett was now under a microscope, and the pressure was mounting fast. The question now wasn't just whether Crockett did anything wrong. It was whether she could survive the fallout, politically and publicly. But if Marjorie Taylor Greene thought she would get the last word that day, she was dead wrong. Jasmine. Crockett may have been caught off guard for a split second, but once the shock wore off, she came out swinging. The moment Greene wrapped up her fiery accusations, Crockett leaned forward, looked her square in the eyes, and let loose. "Are you kidding me right now?" she shouted across the table, her voice ringing loud enough to cut through the murmurs and whispers around the room. "This is a complete smear job, and you know it." And with that, the gloves were off. Crockett wasn't just defending herself, she was fighting back. You could feel the shift in the room. Her voice rose with passion, her hands punctuated every sentence, and the expression on her face made it crystal clear. She wasn't going down without a fight. "These so-called documents you're waving around, where did you get them? Who gave them to you?" she demanded, eyes blazing. "Because what I'm looking at is completely out of context, and maybe even doctored." Crockett accused Greene of pulling a political stunt, calling the entire moment an orchestrated attack designed not to uncover truth, but to score cheap points with Greene's base and distract the public from real, pressing issues. "People are struggling to put food on the table, and this is what you bring to the table?" Crockett said, her tone thick with frustration. "Fake accusations? Manufactured scandals? Is this really what you think leadership looks like?" It was raw. It was real. And it was exactly what the internet lives for. Crockett didn't just deny the allegations. She went on offense, accusing Greene of playing dirty, manipulating facts, and using her platform to create chaos rather than solve problems. The tension reached a boiling point when she stared Greene down and said, "Marjorie, if you want to play dirty politics, do it somewhere else. But don't you dare try to assassinate my character with lies. Not on national television. Not today." The room was stunned. Some members of the committee tried to interject, calling for order. Others sat frozen, watching the back and forth like a heavyweight title match. The shouting, the jabs, the raw emotion. This wasn't a typical day on Capitol Hill. It was a full-on political showdown, and the cameras caught every second. Almost immediately, social media exploded. Clips of Crockett's outburst hit Twitter, or X, TikTok, and Instagram within minutes. Hashtags like Crockett claps back, Crockett vs Greene, and Arthur's House Showdown began trending globally. Influencers, pundits, and everyday users alike started choosing sides. Some praised Crockett for standing her ground, calling her performance fiery, authentic, and the kind of passion we need more of in politics. Others criticized her tone, accusing her of being unhinged and unprofessional, echoing Greene's narrative that Crockett was simply trying to distract from the real issue, accountability. Meanwhile, political analysts on news networks scrambled to weigh in. One CNN contributor remarked, "We've seen heated moments before, but Jasmine Crockett just gave one of the most passionate defenses we've seen on the floor in years. Whether you agree with her politics or not, she brought the fire, and it worked." A Fox News panelist, however, took a different view. All this yelling doesn't make the accusations go away. If the documents are real, and some of them appear to be, then Crockett should be more focused on the facts than trying to flip the narrative. But to Crockett, this wasn't just about political survival. It was personal. She later told reporters outside the chamber, "I've spent my career fighting for people who've been lied on, who've been disrespected, and who've had to claw their way through mud just to be heard. And now, here I am, dealing with the same tactics from someone who thrives on chaos." Inside the committee room, the fallout was immediate. The chairperson was forced to pause the session, call for order, and remind both representatives of the decorum rules. But by that point, it was too late. The exchange was already everywhere. This wasn't just a political disagreement. It was a viral moment, and it threw gasoline on an already burning controversy. And for Jasmine Crockett, one thing was clear. She wasn't just defending her name. She was setting the tone for what would come next. Here's where it gets really interesting and complicated. After the explosive clash between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine Crockett shook Capitol Hill and set social media ablaze, people naturally started asking the most important question: who's actually telling the truth? Was Greene really holding a smoking gun? Or was Crockett the victim of a highly orchestrated political hit job? Within hours of the confrontation, fact-checkers from major news outlets began digging into the documents Greene had waved around during the live hearing. The findings? Well, they were mixed, and that made things even more chaotic. Some truth. But a lot of questions fact-checkers confirmed that a portion of the paperwork Greene presented did, in fact, come from official campaign filings submitted by Crockett's team to the Federal Election Commission, FEC. These public documents included travel expenses, consulting payments, and donor records, all standard components of any campaign's financial activity. However, several red flags were quickly identified. Context was missing. Some of the figures and items that Greene pointed to as suspicious had legitimate explanations, but those explanations were conveniently left out during Greene's fiery speech. For instance, what Greene called luxury travel was part of a multi-state campaign tour aligned with several public events, all documented, all public. Some documents weren't official. Even more concerning, experts noted that a few pages Greene held up were not part of any public FEC database. This raised questions about where the documents came from and whether they had been altered or selectively edited for impact. Greene's team has yet to clarify the source of these specific pages. Timing matters. Several of the transactions she pointed to were already reviewed and cleared during a prior financial audit conducted by Crockett's campaign, a fact Greene either ignored or chose not to mention. So, while Greene had a few real facts, her interpretation and presentation may have been highly misleading. Crockett's team fires back, not wasting any time. Jasmine Crockett's office released a formal statement to the press, directly addressing the accusations. These accusations are completely false and deliberately misleading. Marjorie Taylor Greene knowingly manipulated publicly available documents to create a false narrative. We are actively exploring legal action against those spreading disinformation. The statement went on to say that the so-called evidence had been taken out of context and weaponized for political theater, not truth. Her campaign's legal team was now reviewing the materials for possible defamation claims, and they warned any media outlets or public figures against amplifying false claims without verification. Crockett herself doubled down on her position in a follow-up interview. "I will not sit back while my integrity is dragged through the mud with doctored evidence and outlandish lies. I've worked too hard and been too transparent for this nonsense to stick." Analysts and pundits react with both sides doubling down. Political analysts wasted no time weighing in. And as expected, reactions were divided along party lines. Some commentators called the entire incident classic Marjorie Taylor Greene, a headline-grabbing moment designed to stoke outrage, rally her base, and dominate the news cycle. They pointed to her long history of confrontational politics and said this was just another performance, albeit one with potentially serious implications. Others, however, argued that even if some details were exaggerated, the presence of any irregularities in campaign finance reports should not be dismissed. One conservative strategist said, "Look, even if 90% of what Greene said was overblown, if there's even a 10% chance that laws were broken, we have a responsibility to investigate." This back and forth only intensified the drama and added another layer of confusion for viewers trying to make sense of it all. The real impact: public perception. Here's the bottom line: the damage was already done. Regardless of whether the documents were fully accurate or totally misrepresented, the visuals of Greene's accusation and Crockett's fiery rebuttal had already burned into the public's memory. The media picked it up. Headlines screamed, with words like scandal, explosion, and meltdown, and both politicians were trending within minutes. In today's hyper-connected world, perception often beats fact. And this incident proved that, once again, Crockett was now fighting to protect her image, while Greene was basking in the attention and using the moment to galvanize her supporters, and the question still lingered in everyone's minds. Was this just political theater? Or the beginning of a much bigger scandal? So what does this all mean moving forward? After the explosive confrontation between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine Crockett, one thing is certain: the dust may settle, but the story is far from over. Let's break it down. For Jasmine Crockett, fighting back and rebuilding, for Jasmine Crockett, this isn't just about one argument in a committee room. It's about clearing her name, regaining control of the narrative, and proving to her constituents, and the entire country, that she's not just another politician caught in controversy, but a fighter for truth and integrity. She's doubling down on her innocence. Since the heated exchange, Crockett has appeared on multiple media platforms, reinforcing her side of the story and calling Greene's accusations manufactured lies. Her team is actively working to provide context for every document Greene cited, releasing statements, reports, and even inviting the FEC to conduct an independent review. But she's not just on defense. Crockett is also using the moment to rally support. She's framing the controversy as a textbook example of how black women in power are targeted, how facts can be twisted in the age of viral media, and how the real issues, healthcare, education, justice reform, are being buried under political theatrics. This is about more than just me, Crockett told supporters during a town hall. This is about not letting loud voices drown out the truth. We've got work to do, and I'm not going anywhere. She's already seen a surge in grassroots donations and social media support. Hashtags like Saban, Stand with Crockett are trending, and several progressive leaders have come forward to publicly defend her. Still, the political stain of the accusation, even if proven false, will take time to wash away. In modern politics, the mere suggestion of wrongdoing is often enough to haunt headlines for months. For Marjorie Taylor Greene, more power to her platform. On the flip side, this moment may have just added fuel to Marjorie Taylor Greene's already blazing political brand. Her supporters, many of whom admire her unfiltered approach and unapologetic boldness, are celebrating the confrontation as a prime example of what they expect from her. Call out the other side, even if it means causing a firestorm. Whether or not her accusations stick doesn't seem to matter to her base. They see Greene as someone who's not afraid to say what others won't, and this viral moment will likely strengthen her following, increase her media appearances, and boost her fundraising efforts. In fact, Greene has already leaned into the moment, posting clips of the exchange with captions like, "I said what needed to be said," and "Corruption doesn't scare me, it motivates me." She's also hinted at introducing a formal ethics complaint against Crockett in the weeks ahead, which could further extend the controversy and keep her name in headlines. For Greene, the battle was about more than Crockett. It was about making noise, asserting dominance, and controlling the spotlight. And in that sense, she succeeded. For Congress, a new era of political theater. But beyond the personal impacts on Crockett and Greene, this incident speaks to something much bigger happening in Washington. This was not just a policy debate. It was a viral showdown, a media spectacle, a perfect example of how today's political arena has shifted from quiet committee rooms and backdoor negotiations to loud public fights, designed to go viral. In the past, disputes like these may have stayed behind closed doors. Today, they're streamed, clipped, hashtagged, and memed within minutes. Analysts are calling this a new chapter in the evolution of Congress, where reputation can be built or destroyed in seconds, and the truth often struggles to catch up with the drama. It raises uncomfortable questions. Are our lawmakers debating policy or performing for cameras? Are we watching democracy unfold or a reality show in real time? The bigger picture, Whether or not any official charges, investigations, or disciplinary actions arise from Greene's claims, the confrontation has already left its mark. Crockett will now always be associated with this moment, regardless of her innocence. Greene will carry it as another badge of honor in her no-holds-barred political career. And the public? We're left wondering, what really matters anymore? Facts or footage? One thing is undeniable. This incident is a case study in modern American politics. It shows how reputations can be challenged in an instant, how the media cycle feeds on conflict, and how, in this era of political warfare, the real battle isn't always in the votes or the laws. Sometimes it's in the clicks. What do you think? Was this a calculated smear campaign or a genuine call for accountability? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm reading every single one. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more real political breakdowns, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the drama happening behind the scenes in Washington. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and stay bold.